Hi everyone, it's Rachel and Anthony from Don't Crop Me Now. It's going to be just a short video here just to describe our onions because we've had a few questions about these that have been mentioned in a few videos. This year we've got some rather large onions and there's various reasons for that. Some of that is essentially the variety that we're growing, and some of that I attribute down really to putting a good layer of composted manure on the surface, which really seems to help them grow in size. But let's have a look at our onions and the varieties that we are growing. So Anthony is standing in front of our main onion bed. We do have onions growing on a few other beds within the plot, but this is the sort of the main area. And as you can see next to Anthony, they are rather large and they've done really well. So at this side, then the ones that look slightly smaller than the really big ones, these are called Globo onions. We grow them from seed, and if you see Anthony's hand, they're still pretty big. They're not small onions at all. It's just because they are next to those really giant onions. So the other onions, the middle section that we've got, are called Exhibition Giants. So if Anthony looks in and sees the size of some of those, they are pretty big. And then the ones over here are from the Peter Glazebrook strain of giant onion, so they're even bigger onions. So those two second varieties are really competition varieties. We're going to make a lot of curry sauce with these. I'm not convinced they are going to be the most tasty onions, but the ones on this side, the Globo, which do grow quite big, really are very tasty. I'm just going to show you some other onions we've got in a slightly other bed, because there is some more Globos and there is also some Kelsey onions here. So these ones here are also Globo. So if Anthony comes in here and puts his hand down, and we can see, so they know they're not a bad size either. And some of the larger ones on here, Anthony can't quite get in. These larger ones here, they're the Kelsey, which are again a show variety, but people also say are very tasty onions. So if you want to have a go at growing onions and you'd like to get some large onions, my best tips are firstly to grow onions from seed. Whenever we have grown onions from sets, which we actually did for many years, we never managed to get them to any sort of decent size. I've also found as well that the onions that are grown from seed are a lot more resistant to bolting during drought periods. So in the UK here, like we've mentioned many times on our channel, we've had hardly any rain, certainly in the northwest of England, for quite a few months now. And as you can see, these onions are still grown really well. The next tip is to make sure that you use manure when you're growing your onions. They are quite a hungry crop. So we actually use a no-dig process here at Don't Crop Me Now. So we lay a composted mulch, that in this case we've used the manure as that composted mulch on the surface, and we plant directly through that. But if you are a digger and you want to have a go at digging in that manure, you'll still get some of that really good effect, because that manure will be a really good feed for those growing plants. The next tip is to make sure that you weed really well. As you can see on our bed, there is very few weeds, and that's really quite attributed to the fact that we are no dig, so we don't get as many of those annual flush of weeds. But onions do not compete very well with weeds, so you need to keep your onion area quite tidy if you want them to be able to swell up to get large onions. And the final tip really is about those varieties. So I'll just go through those again. One of the varieties that we use most commonly is called Globo from seed, and we get quite large onions from those, even just by looking at other varieties like the Giants. We had Exhibition Giants, which is the sort of standard giant variety that we've grown for quite a long time, and we cook regularly with those as well. This year we have tried some of the Peter Glazebrook strain giant onions. So he has got a lot of the records for the world's largest onions. We're not really growing them sort of competitively on here. It was just a bit of fun really. And we wanted to see how big they would get if they were just planted out in a normal bed. And as you can see, when we looked at them before, they do get pretty big. So the varieties are quite important. The last onion that we do grow is a variety called Augusta. I'm not going to show you those today because we have actually harvested all of those because they are an overwintering variety. And by the name Augusta, you do tend to sow them in August, and then you would either plant the small plants before the winter, or you can overwinter small plants and then plant them in early spring. The overwintering varieties for me, I've never found do actually grow as big, but you do get an earlier crop from those. We do tend to put a few in. So hopefully that's given you some tips if you want to have a go at growing some larger onions. So if you've enjoyed the video today, please like, comment and subscribe. It only takes a minute, but it really helps our channel. Take care everyone. Bye.
Bye.